What is your experience level? It happened. I broke my nose. Are you prepared? Am I prepared to backpack alone? Let's find out. But what if this actually happened when I was backpacking and I'm alone out in the woods? Well, this is why I made this video, because just happened, and I was thinking to myself, like, am I prepared to actually backpack and deal with a broken nose? Before we start talking about what's in my first aid kit, I think it's very important to talk about your experience. Like, what is your experience level? So me personally, I am a PE teacher, so I am CPR trained. I'm in Stop the Bleed trained. I've backpacked for over 10 years. I've done a Colorado Thru-Hike. I've backed through the desert. I've done the Grand Canyon. I've backpacked on some crazy traversing out in Washington, which is very sketchy, and you have to bring an ice axe and crampons in order to just feel safe. And if you slide and fall down, it's not going to be pretty. So definitely got to bring those when you go out to Washington during like the snowy peak areas. I've also backpacked through extreme flash floods where the water is raging and you have to cross that river. And I've also backpacked in some crazy hurricane wind, like where the winds are about 60, between 70 miles per hour, and tents are getting smashed around you. And I actually got some epic footage of this one tent. It's almost levitating. It's like flying in the air. Well, not really flying in the air, but someone actually catches underneath it, and yeah, crazy. I've also backpacked in very cold climates where you got to keep on moving in order to prevent hypothermia. Backpacked in Grizz Country, Montana, seen a bunch of poisonous snakes, and I do a lot of night backpacking. And just on my past trip that I just did, kind of sketched out about it though. But needless to say, your experience does matter. What you bring will also help you from getting injured as well. Me, personally, I love to bring the trekking pole. For one, I need to use it in order to set up my tent, but I use this for many different reasons. One, I use it for filming. That's why in a lot of my videos you don't see me actually carrying a trekking pole, but I do use it a lot. I use it for filming, I use it for my tent, I use it for stability, and this is why you might want to bring it. I don't bring two, I just bring one usually. And when you're crossing these rivers or these streams and you don't want to get wet, right? So you're actually hopping from rock to rock, this will actually act like an extra footing, and you can hop to these rocks without slipping and falling. And I also use this for going up and down really intense mountains. When I'm going downhill, it's hard on my knees, so I like to use my trekking pole as additional brake. I can go ahead and stick it right into the ground, and it prevents me from continuing to move forward.
I'm making it look easy.
Another thing you need to take into consideration is your pack weight. I used to carry about 40 pounds. Now I'm at the, with food and everything, maybe about 20 pounds. 20 pounds is good for me. Try to go as light as possible. But with your weight, it definitely makes a difference with your balance. When you're hiking, and if you're moving from rock to rock or going up and down different mountains, having a lighter pack load will actually prevent a lot of different injuries. You're not going to roll your ankle as much.
Cliffhanger! Eat it!
You're going to just feel more, I guess, in tune. And also what you have is your gear. My shoes, like the stuff that you wear. My Salomon Speed Cross, I forget the full name of them. I can't recommend them because they are pretty narrow, but I personally love them. When I backpack with them, I feel like I have so much stability when I'm moving. So each step that I take, I'm in control and I know what my foot is going to do. It's not going to slip, and it's deep into the mud, and there's no room space for my foot to slide. And it is a very narrow foot box, so that's why I can't recommend it to you. It works for me, but again, you know, we all have different size feet, so your footwear makes a difference. And please, whatever you do, stay away from the Goretex, okay? Please, okay? And I want to make a bet with you. If you go to REI, and if you ask the person at your outfitter store and ask them, you're like, hey, what kind of backpacking shoe you recommend for me? 9 times out of 10, they're gonna tell you to get the Goretex shoe. And I just don't feel like they can make a difference between backpacking and hiking. There is a huge difference, right? When you are hiking or day hiking, like you're going from point A to point and coming back, right? When you're backpacking, you're out there for a couple days. You might be out there just for the weekend. You might be out there for a week. You might be out there for a month. And when you're hiking for a longer period of time, there's going to be moisture that will get into that Goretex shoe. And you can't really get that moisture out. And that's my biggest issue with the Goretex. And there's going to be times where you're hiking through wet or rivers or snow, or your foot just heats up. So you're going to create that moisture in that shoe and it can't escape. This actually happened to a buddy of mine that backpacked with me on the Colorado trail, and we backpacked for about at least 100 miles. And quote unquote, my friend goes, Dave, looks like your foot went through a meat grinder. And it did, because it was so like, looked like old skin that was just wet and wrinkled, and then with everything just rubbing against each other. So that's why I stay away from Goretex. So what is actually inside my first aid kit? My girlfriend, she's gonna be like, you need to pack more stuff. So what I bring is, in my first aid kit, I have some Body Glide. And this is gonna be very helpful for you when you're hiking and you start to chafe.
Well, you know what? You can think about it. It's every hour on the hour, you can just yell out one is the primary.
I thought I was in bad shape. Look at this guy.
Yeah, I'm in pain.
Dave. Dave, tell us what the matter. What's going on?
No. No. So I got an ass crack. It's chafing like you wouldn't believe. But it's duplicated by my balls that are rubbing on my legs. So I got a chafe off going on. And double that with my hip. It's just killing me. So the trifecta.
So Body Glide, I'm always a big fan of. I've been using it for about, well, since 2019. And then I also carry some carbon fiber patch and tape. So if my tent gets a hole in it, I can go ahead and tape it up.
Preparing my repair tape for my carbon fiber rainfly that I apparently poked a hole in. You can kind of see it. It's camouflaged. It's a pretty good size hole. So I'm going to use my shirt and just kind of dry off the surface. I got 4 little patches here. And what I'm going to want to do is make sure we get that fabric kind of back in its original home. Something like that. And then peel and stick. I'm going to flip the tarp over, and there's that hole right there. I'm gonna peel and stick. Trying to make sure we get the whole thing. Looks like that's it.
And then in my smaller bag of first aid stuff, I have some chapstick, and this will just be able to apply on my lips. If I have like a little cut, I can go ahead and seal it up really easily. But if you don't have your Body Glide, you can also use this as a backup. Now, would I want to put this in all those places? No. So try to remember to bring both. And I also have some headache medicine, some inflammation stuff. This is just an old bottle of Aleve, but I keep on refilling it. This has a couple ibuprofen pills. That's just gonna reduce the swelling of like hurt feet and stuff. So bring some ibuprofen. So I got some Dayquil, NyQuil, and then some more Dayquil. The reason why is because if I'm feeling sick and if I'm hiking and I can't make it to like a road or like the next town, I'm gonna take some Dayquil, right?
Yeah, John.
Let the birds take my carcass. You can have my last ramen.
Oh, man.
Then I also carry a couple of these little pills right here. And this is some Claritin D. The reason why I'm a big fan of Claritin D, because I've been out backpacking in so many different places, and I might not know that I have like allergies in a certain area, and everything gets all clogged up and all this mucus, and I just can't breathe correctly. So I have to take some Claritin D, and that will just dry up all that mucus that I have, and then my body can actually heal itself. And then I have like a nice little alcohol swab. So if you get a cut, you got something to clean that you can clean off a cut. And that is all I have in my first aid kit. So I know what you're thinking. I don't have a lot. And you're right. But I do bring other things that will help me in a case if I broke my nose. So, for example, I bring fire starters. And this right here is just a cotton ball with Vaseline. And if I get like a broken nose or a major cut, I can take some of this and actually put it inside the cut. And that Vaseline will actually clog up all the blood from going out. So it's gonna help prevent a lot of that bleeding. And then I also bring Scotch tape. Well, not Scotch tape, duct tape. Kind of a difference, right? So with duct tape, you take this off and then you apply it into different cuts. I also put this over some of my blisters too. Now, is it the best? No, I think they got what, that Luca tape. Luca tape is a great, I love Luca tape. So that's another thing I should probably have in my first aid kit. Maybe I'll wrap that around instead. But if I get a cut, I can take some of this off and then put it on my nose and act like a band-aid with some tissue paper. I also have a nice little Swiss Army knife, okay? And I know it's not the biggest knife, but it has nice little scissors with it. It has the tweezers that help me, and I had to pull it out because the tweezers and the scissors are so small. They actually help me remove my stitches in my nose. So thank you, Swiss Army knife. That is what I bring. And back to the question. Am I prepared for a broken nose out in the backcountry? I don't think anyone really is. But do you have enough stuff that can get you from point A to point B? Meaning, like, can you make it to a road or a town where you can get medical help? Because honestly, if you're bleeding out there, there's not much you can really do. okay? And you can bring a better first aid kit, which maybe I need to. And if there's stuff that you suggested I should bring, please put it in the comments, because I really should probably increase like my first aid kit. I feel like I'm missing stuff. With that said, I want you to take a look at your own personal gear and look at different scenarios that could happen. One of the scenarios that like I think about that I know that I'm not prepared for is, what if I have like a gash in my arm? Like I have something stuck in my arm. For one, you're not going to want to remove that stick or whatever is in your arm, and you're going to want to stop that bleed. And I don't have a stop the bleed kit, a tourniquet. So what I would probably do is, I have these straps all over my pack, and I would probably put that around my arm and tighten it up very tight. Now, these straps aren't the straps that you want to use. This is too thin. You want to use something at least like an inch thick for a tourniquet. Again, this is worst case scenario. So I want you to at least look at your gear and say like, yes, I could probably make something work, okay? Because these scenarios could save your life. Again, this is Coach Bill 315. If you enjoy videos like this, I got some budget stuff over here if you want to take a look at, and some crazy adventures. This is Coach Bill 315, and yeah, buddy.